Thank you, Councilman. I appreciate it. Is that how I check it? It's on. Perfect. We got the technician that can help check it. Perfect. So I want to welcome everyone. We got a few more people than we anticipated, so I want to start by apologizing that there may not be enough food and there certainly isn't enough tables or chairs. So hopefully next year we'll anticipate a few more, and if we don't get as many, probably better than having too many people and not having a place for it. But we appreciate the fact that you've come here to listen to a short presentation on the state of our city. We have a lot of things going on, I'm sure you know. We were going to begin tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance, so if you join us in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For those of you who only came for the quick bite, I'm going to give you a sneak peek, short synopsis, like an executive summary of tonight. As a city, we're doing very, very well. Our neighborhoods are alive with activity. Our parks are alive with families and friends having fun in the park. Kids playing soccer, kids playing baseball. Our festivals and our carnivals and our concert series are all doing well. And our financial condition is solid and sound. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. So if anyone here wants to leave and move the car, it's okay. All right. The first thing I want to do is recognize some of our officials from the past and other dignitaries that are here with us tonight. I'm working from several different sheets, so I'm going to hopefully not miss anybody. And if I do, I apologize. I need to find my glasses, though. Okay, we're going to go through this, and it's not in any particular order other than the order that it is on this sheet, which looks like it's alphabetical. I want to recognize, well, we've got council members here. We're going to recognize our council members later. So you guys have to wait. Thanks, Ron. We have Barry Hubbard here, which is former mayor. We have Ken Jones. Former councilman who moved away to run the city of Tempe, but retired and has come back. Welcome back. Diane Landis, who's on the council, and also Peter Mahoney is here from the prior council. Let's see. Robert Musselwhite's here, who was on the council and also and Sandra Reagan is here, who's from the council. We want to thank Jeff Campos for coming. He's the leader, president, CEO of the Southwest Chamber. We have Sam Nuanez from Litchfield School, Director of Community Relations. We have Nancy Schaefer and Bob Field from the Paul W. Litchfield Heritage Center. Rich Newman from Orange Development Consulting, LLC. We have elected official Gloria Solano. Gloria is and most importantly, we have Mary Rose Evans. Yay! Everything in the city for many, many years. So welcome back, Mary Rose.
Bert and Wagner's here too.
We also just got Curtis Nelson from the Avondale City Council. Haven't we missed Bert Van Wagner? Really? Hello, Bert. Did we miss anyone else?
Yes.
Who?
Yeah.
Oh, Coleman's there. Where is he? Oh. Taking nominations. Are there any more that we do? This is one of the. This is going to go down in our after action report. We'll try to find a better way to do this next time. Okay. So now we're going to go into something different this year. Looks like someone's helping me with the slides. Thank you. So those of you who have come to these in the past know that this isn't Saturday morning at 8 a.m. and we're not having a couple of I don't even know where we got those little old rules that we serve with cold coffee. So this year we have food, we're doing it in the evening, but more importantly, we've done a number of things to make it hopefully a more interesting presentation. It's what happens when you get younger staff in, and all of a sudden they come with all these ideas. Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? And I go, well, I remember what we did in the past, and it was pretty easy. I didn't have to prepare. I just get up and do it again. But now we're going to change it. So we changed it around this time. We're very fortunate that we have a new volunteer who has helped us in a number of different ways, but you're going to see his work in just a moment here. His name is Chuck Emmer. Chuck is an expert in videos and social media. He does a whole variety of things for us, so we really appreciate all of his efforts. But the very thing that he's done for us tonight is he has prepared a video presentation that goes around and will show you the city of Litchfield Park as it is today. And for those of you who have been around the city, like some of us have been, and I can look out and I can see many of you I've known for many, many years, I think what you're going to see is that the city is in great shape. It has changed tremendously over the last decade, but it has been able to maintain the unique feel that we had in Litchfield Park when we first incorporated. So I think you're going to get the flavor of that from this video, and I want to ask you to watch it as we do that right now.
Welcome to the 2020. Welcome to the 2024 City of Litchfield Park State of the City. In the next few minutes, we'll take you on a journey through the rich history, vibrant present, and exciting future of our small residential community nestled in the heart of Maricopa County, Arizona. In 1916, Paul W. Litchfield, an executive from the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company, arrived in this area with a mission: to purchase land for cotton cultivation to reinforce tires during World War I. He fell in love with this area, and soon the Southwest Cotton Company was born. In 1926, the company town officially became Litchfield Park. After World War II, significant growth occurred, and by 1987, Litchfield Park was incorporated as a city. Today, Litchfield Park is a unique city that boasts magnificent palm and orange trees, charming sidewalk cafes, award-winning schools, a community library, parks and pools open to the public, plus the celebrated Wigwam Resort. Litchfield Park offers a sense of well-being and genuine community for its residents. The city is guided by the wise leadership of Mayor Tom Schoaf and dedicated members of the City Council. Day-to-day operations are managed by City Manager Matthew Williams.
Last year, Litchfield Park continued to build on our infrastructure, including storm drain work and repaving of Old Litchfield Road. A partnership with the Episcopal Diocese of Arizona led to a shared parking lot between Staggs Park and St. Peter's Episcopal Church, eliminating street congestion and safety concerns. Across the street, recreation at the popular lake area will be improved with the availability of paddleboat watercraft near the dock. Significant storm drainage improvemements were completed in the Vista Verde neighborhood, including new spillways and bigger drains. Another area that often flooded, the cart path under Litchfield Road, was redesigned with improved drainage as well. A major roadway safety upgrade was completed when the new roundabout on Litchfield Road was finished. Additionally, the speed limit was set to 35 miles per hour on Litchfield and Camelback roads. The Litchfield Square development continues to take shape, adding roadway, parking, and landscaping improvements. Honeysuckle Street was repaved and parking added for the patrons of the sought-after local businesses. Across town, proposed Camelback Park improvements may include additional parking and changes to the existing wall. Planning for a new public works building is underway to replace the old structure on Desert Avenue. Meanwhile, our public works staff worked tirelessly all summer to keep the city's parks and public right-of-ways in good repair. Local transportation options improved with the availability of the Right Choice program through Valley Metro for our residents. 14 city residents were elected in November to serve as a board of freeholders and draft a proposed city charter. Their work will be presented to voters for approval on March 12, 2024, and if approved, Litchfield Park will become the 20th charter city in Arizona. The City of Litchfield Park has a good relationship with contracted public safety services provided by the City of Avondale Police Department and the Goodyear Fire Department. Looking ahead, Litchfield Park has plans for historic preservation. The iconic Scout Lodge building will be moving across the street from its current location to Scout Park. Another existing remnant of our past, the old Litchfield Train Depot, will be moved from its current location to a new home in Litchfield Park. Litchfield Park is a city rich in history, thriving in the present and eagerly planning for the future. With a strong community spirit and a commitment to progress, this charming city in the Southwest Valley will continue to be a special place that maintains a small town atmosphere. Thank you for joining us in this State of the City video. For more information and updates on Litchfield Park, visit our website or contact our city offices. We look forward to sharing more exciting news in the years to come.
Chuck Emmer, please stand up so everybody can recognize. Oh, no, comes to the back. We appreciate all the work of Chuck to put that together. Okay, thank you for giving my slide. So we're going to go through these main points. Some of them will go very quickly on because you've seen information on them in this video. But in general, we're going to cover our city council and our city board of commissioners, because without those volunteers, our city would not be able to function. Our city council works hard to set the policies that we guide our staff in terms of implementing for the enjoyment of our residents. And we want to recognize our boards and commissioners because, again, without them, we would not have the public input that we need to go ahead and plan things like our new park. We're going to go quickly through a financial update so you can see what our cash balances look like and how our cash expenses are projected for the next several years. And we'll quickly go through some information on Litchfield Square, capital improvements, the Loma, give you an update on Liberty and where that stands with Liberty Water. We're going to talk about our charter city election, which is coming up here. It's actually started now. I got my ballot in the mail today, and I hope you either have received it or you will get it shortly. Then we're going to have an opportunity for the council to make comments, and for you to make any comments that you'd like to make to us. So with that, let's start with the most important piece of our, let's see, okay. The most important piece of our policy setting mechanism is the city council. These are individuals that volunteer their time to meet at least once a month and to potentially meet several times a month and discuss what's going on in the city and try to find a path that we want to use going forward. We are definitely the product of the vision of this council, and so we want to recognize them. We've got Lisa Raymond Watson. Ron Clare was unable to be here this evening. Justin James. John Romack. Donahue. Vice Mayor Faith. I also want to recognize generally the importance of our staff. The staff is what makes the city actually operate, so we want to thank our city manager, who's here, Matthew Williams. We have our clerk, Gary. And a variety of staff that made this all possible tonight, so I want to thank them for their efforts tonight and their efforts every day in moving the city forward. Okay. Design Review Board of Adjustments. We have Brian O'Connor, who's the P&Z representative, Rachel Dudley, Susan Charnetsky, David Ledger, and John Womack. We have Planning and Zoning Commission. Vicki Lynn Albee, Brian O'Connor, Andrew Frazier, Michael Faith, David Ledger, Deborah Lawrence, and Robert Derry. Thank you. And finally, we have the Recreation and Public Grounds Commission, who is responsible for planning a variety of changes in our parks and doing the planning for the new park in Litchfield Square. There's Christoph Kurtz, Brian Colbert, Andrew Schwartz, and Brian Faith. Anthony Tedai and Susan Fix. Next is a sad duty. We have a couple of council members who are retiring this year. We tried to prevent this from happening, but they seem to think they have a life of their own and they didn't choose these things. So the first one is Councilman Donahue. She has been with us about 8 years now. We appreciate the vitality that she brought to the council and her viewpoints on education and the importance of children in our community. So thank you, Nancy. The next council member, it's going to be difficult for me to foresee how we're going to have a council meeting without Councilman Romack with us. He's been here for 16 years. He is a pillar of our community, having built many of the houses and condos and various places where people live and work. Over the years, built them. In fact, this facility we're sitting in tonight, he is responsible for deciding it too small. So thank So we want to thank Councilman Romack for being with us for 16 years. All right, we're going to do a relatively brief update on the financial situation of the city. And I say brief. In the past, we've gone through a variety of pie charts and other things that may have been really interesting to me, but might not have been that interesting to many of you. So we have a couple of charts to distill things that I think in a way that will allow you to understand the condition of our finances in the city. Several years ago, I guess 2020, it says on the slide, we began recognizing construction sales tax as only a one-time receipt. And that may seem like an obvious thing, but it was big. It was a big change in the way we looked at budgeting. So we do not budget to spend an ongoing expense item. We do not budget to fund that with construction sales tax. And the reason for that is if you do that and next year the construction sales tax goes down, you're left with a funding problem for what you've got as an ongoing expense. So it changed philosophically the way we approached a lot of it. We used to discuss in the past that construction sales tax was something we couldn't rely upon every year, but it's a much more important part of the formal process of adopting our budget. What you see up here, the blue line is it's our construction sales tax that we either received in the years that have happened or that we anticipate going forward. So that's the blue line. What we do budget in is our capital expense. So these are capital expenses in those same years. Either they have already happened or they're projected. As you can see, we do not have sufficient construction sales tax coming in to fund what we would like to do with capital items. We're able to fund those extra capital items through our general operating budget. So we actually, on a normal basis, we will spend more on capital things than what we have coming in with one-time revenue. Let me actually go back. This line here is a line that represents the closing cash balance that we had at the end of each fiscal year. So in this case, we ended this fiscal year, which was 2024, with about $25 million in the bank. When we get through spending this capital expense this year, we're going to end up just below 20 million, and that's going to go back up next year to be at about $20 million. So it's a very important thing because it gives us the flexibility to fund the city in the way that it needs to be funded, to fund the activities that we need to fund, and not have to worry about what happens next year if the economy tanks, what happens next year if the legislature takes some major funding source away from us, which they did this year. They took away rental tax. They have threatened to take away food tax. So this ending balance gives us the ability to not have to panic over those kinds of changes. So we have time to react and we can do things to try to resolve that problem internally. We are able to get that type of fund balance because we do not spend everything we bring in every year. So again, if you look at this, the gray bar is our operating expenses. So through the years that we've completed, which goes up to about here, those are our actual operating expenses to operate the city. And the blue, the big blue bar, is the ongoing revenues that we receive, either have received during the years that it's completed, or that we project to receive in the future. The important thing to take away from this is that when we do our budgeting, we budget to have a surplus every year. So we don't budget every dollar that we bring in. And you can see, this is the time frame in here when we started planning for the city center. We saved our money for many years to get up to 25 million so that we could afford to do the things that we're doing in Litchfield Square today. And we can do those things in Litchfield Square, and even when we're done with them, we're still going to end up with a very significant amount of cash in the bank. We are very careful of that cash, and we have invested it. We have a finance officer that works very hard on this. She invested in safe investments, but we're earning almost 5% on that. So that for the city this year, we have almost $1 million of income coming in off this cash balance. So not all the pie charts and things, but I think it gives you an idea that we're in good shape financially. Next item that we're going to go through is the Litchfield Square project. And this timeline is really here to give you a sense of this project. This is not a new project. We didn't start this a few years ago. The city has been working actively Since 1994 was the first time that the concept of a city center plan was put forth and was worked on by the council. So it goes back 20, 30 years ago now, I guess, that original plan was adopted. We started working on assembling the property. Hit the wrong button. We started assembling property in 2014. So 10 years ago, we bought the first parcel of property that is now Litchfield Square. And we continued working on that through 2017. So it took 3 or 4 years. I think it actually may have taken a little longer than 17 even to get the final piece of property that made up the 30 acres of Litchfield Square. From 2017 until 2021, so about 4 years, we had public meetings. Many of you were at those public meetings, where we went through and we tried to understand what kind of a project did the citizens want to see. What did they think would be a good thing what would be good for being in Litchfield Square, and what things did they did not want in Litchfield Square. So in that 4-year period, we developed a pretty specific plan on what we thought should go there and where it should be located and how the parcel should be laid out. So then we went into this process of construction, starting in 21. The way that we approached that was we did a it's called a request for proposal, a competitive request for proposal that went out to various contractors. We had multiple submissions on how they would go through and build the infrastructure that we thought was necessary, but they didn't give us a final price. What they gave us was the method that they would calculate price, and they would give us their background and their history and why we should choose them, but the pricing came later. So once we chose a contractor to work with, then we went through a series of contracts with that contractor. We refer to them as GMPs. GMP 1 was in July of 2021. What that is a guaranteed maximum price that the contractor will perform the services that we described from GMP 1. So that started in July of 21, and it went through the final, that figures. The final GMP is GMP 6, which we anticipate will be completed in September of this year. And at that point, the park will open to the public, the streets will open to the public, and the Litchfield Square will start to use Litchfield Square. To give you an idea of the steps that were necessary, we started out with just a parcel of vacant land. It had a lot of really interesting old sewers and pipes and tanks and whatever underneath it, but it was just a basic piece of raw land. It didn't have any sewers, it didn't have any water to it, didn't have any electricity. Obviously, there were no streets. So we had to go through and start constructing all that. So GMP 1 generally prepared the site, and it procured long lead time items. And if you remember back in 21, that's when we started all the COVID problems. So that's when we started running into significant price increases on everything that we needed to buy. We had significant problems buying many things. There were cement culverts that just were not available. Things like cement manhole assemblies with covers and things, we couldn't get them for a long time. Switching gear, electrical equipment, a whole variety of things that just were not generally available that normally would be. Our price, what happened to our price throughout this period of time from 21 through today is we went from a project that was originally estimated to be about $26 million. It became a $40 million project. So very significant increase in the cost to do this. So this gives you an idea of what was done in each of the GMPs. This will be in you can look this presentation up on the internet once we get done tonight if you're interested in seeing all the various steps. The way that we paid for this, so you can see the grand total is $40 million. What we did was we did two different things. We borrowed initially $15 million, and then we started funding with city cash, and then we borrowed $11.5 million, and we're finishing with city cash. for a total of $40 million. So we have a total of $26.5 million in bonds. We're already starting to pay on those bonds. So those bond payments are in the operating numbers that you saw earlier. So we have those planned in our budget, so we'll pay off the bonds. We also took $13.5 million of city cash, put it in to pay for the items that were not paid for with bond money. When all of that gets done, we still are going to end up with almost $20 million in the bank. So we spent a lot of time as a council, we spent a lot of time with our staff trying to figure out how to do this and how to do it in a way that was safe for all of the residents. We had significant discussions about the theories of should we borrow more or should we borrow less. We all like the idea of paying for stuff and not having to pay interest. But we realized that if we did this in the way that we did it, we would end up with about $20 million in the bank. We can earn 5% on that money, and we're paying on these bonds about 3%. So financially, it's a good deal for the city to balance the use of our own cash with the use of bond financing. So what's going in the Litchfield Square? We have one parcel with a committed project on it. It is on parcel 3, which is just south of Scout Lodge. There's a 40,000 square foot mixed use building going in. It has 2 restaurants, it has retail space, and it has office space. The final plans are in with the city and are being reviewed, and we've been told by the developer that he hopes to break ground in the next 120 days or so. So I'm hopeful that before this year's out, we're going to see the first building activity of this first building. One of the really, I think, very positive things for the city and very positive for Litchfield Square is that this building is being constructed by Litchfield Park residents. So it will be good to have a local owner for the first project. We're hopeful we've had some conversations with another Litchfield Park resident that is interested in maybe starting the second building. So I think we're going to see this go. It's going to move along, but I want everyone to understand that they move along slowly. And the reason is that if this project were simply given to a developer and said, build the most profitable thing you can build here, we would end up with so much density and so much commercial activity that it would change the character of Litchfield Park. That's not what we want. We want something that's going to bring in the amenities that our residents want. We want some place where we can get some nice restaurants. We want some, opportunities possibly for condo living, for a variety of things that will complement what we have, but not change it. So it's going to take time to get that to work out. And because we have planned this carefully, if we don't get it to work out next year, if it doesn't work out for 5 years, the city is fine financially. We can pay the bonds. We have enough money in the bank. We have enough cash flow coming in to satisfy the needs of our residents. So nothing about life in Litchfield Park needs to change, even if we have to go slowly in Litchfield Square. So I would ask you to be patient on it. One of the highlights of the square, many developments are planned around a lead or major tenant. You can think of Fry's as the easiest one. Everything around Fry's exists because Fry's is there. We didn't want something like that to be the thing that drew people into the city. So what we planned Litchfield Square around is this park. This 2.5-acre park. It's got Palm Tree Plaza. It's got playgrounds for the kids. It's got grassy space where we can hold our festivals or concerts. It has picnic tables. It has space for food trucks. If we want to do a food truck experience or an event, that is based on food trucks. It has a variety of things that can be used. There were a lot of time and effort put in by the Parks and Rec committee to get this designed in a way that we thought it would be a tremendous amenity for all of the residents. And it would also serve as the thing that will draw people into Litchfield Park to use these businesses that we want to locate around the park. So we want businesses that can use that park. We want businesses that are family oriented. We want businesses that are going to fit into the lifestyle that we have in Litchfield Park. And we think that the theme of having this park be the center of it will help us do that over a period of time. So this park will open. It's going to have, actually, you'll see sod going into the park literally next week. So that's a major step for us. And the park itself should be open to the public by September. Just a quick summary of some of the stuff that's true about Litchfield Square. $40 million investment. That investment is all about infrastructure. It's about the roads and the sewers and the water retention areas and all the things that we did to make this development a really first-class development. There'll be at least 200 parking spaces. Again, this will depend upon how many square feet of businesses come into it. They'll be added over a period of time. 500 new trees, 10,000, almost 11,000 feet of sidewalks, 1.5 miles almost of extended streets, altogether 2.5 acres. So I think it's going to become a tremendous asset for our city. While we're spending money on Litchfield Square and trying to get this built for the city, we did not take our eye off the ball on capital improvements and keeping up with things that need to be maintained in the city. We have our staff spends a tremendous amount of time with things like pavement maintenance. We survey our streets every year. We have a 10-year maintenance plan, and we work on keeping the streets up and keeping them in a good shape for the residents. Try to maintain them in a way so they don't have to be replaced. We also work on things like storm drainage. Not the most exciting thing, but Vista Verde area had tremendous problems whenever there was a major storm. Literally a major storm, there were condos that were kind of on the south end of one of the streets. The water would just flow through the condos. It wasn't a matter of they could put a sandbag up or something. The water would literally flow right through their house, through the front door and out the back building. The reason for it is that when the drainage was planned in that area, everything was planned to drain to the golf course. So they didn't worry about where it went. And then when these condos were built, the elevations are a little bit too low, and the drainage and grading around it weren't necessarily done properly. So we end up with water flowing through the condos. So we put in a drainage project that should eliminate that. We completed finally our downtown storm drain project. The water used to come down below basically and flow right through what is now Litchfield Square. So obviously we couldn't have floodwaters going through Litchfield Square every time it had big rain. So we needed to fix that. We needed to complete a storm drain project that we literally started 15 years ago. And we had gotten a portion of it completed with help from the county back 15 years ago. But we eventually ran into some bad economic times. We couldn't, as a city, we couldn't afford to continue funding it, so we put it on the shelf. And it sat there until just recently when we were able to convince the county to again participate in funding it. And we were able to finish that. So now the area around Scout Park, that water is going to drain properly down below it and come on the fairway as it is, and then it'll be routed, it gets routed around. It goes down our storm drains that are underneath Old Litchfield Road. Some other things that we put in, we have a camera badge system in city facilities now, so that we have more control on the security for our staff and the people using those facilities. We did a mill and overlay project on Litchfield Road, which is another project that we had actually postponed for several years because we wanted to wait and see what happened with the roundabout, so that everything got coordinated at the same time. And we continue to work on our pavement management throughout the city. We also are working on new capital projects. So one of the major areas that we've had some concern on from a variety of things is Camelback Park. Because of what's constructed across the street from Camelback Park, we end up with more transient type people who kind of hang out in this area. Some are not the best. Some of them are security risks for our neighbors and our residents. So we need to improve our wall. This wall needs to be improved and make it a real deterrent for people to come across and just hop the wall and end up in the park. We also have a problem with the park. Everybody parks along this curve when their kids are out playing soccer, and depending upon how people park and the speed of cars and how many cars happen to be on that curve, it doesn't all fit very well. It's hard if you're kind of coming around the curve and going towards the southwest. It's hard to stay in your lane sometimes because of the way cars are parked, and if kids jump out, it's a very dangerous situation. So we've been working on what do we do to make it so we can get parking that's adequate. And what we've decided upon, and we're doing design work on now, is we're going to move this curve basically over and up, and we're going to put in angled parking all along here. And we're going to move the wall out closer to the street. So we're going to pick up several acres of land. The parking will end up actually being larger than it is today, but we're going to have parking that's going to be integrated into this area here. We're going to reduce the speed limit, which I know people don't like, but we're going to get it down to 15 miles an hour in this area, and we're going to put in some more speed bumps. And we're doing that to protect the children that play in this park, and the people, families that use the park, and park cars along there. We don't want to have a tragedy of losing a child. We also are working on another project that I've gotten asked, I don't know how many times over the years, and that's Dysart and Indian School Road. The part of that intersection that's to the north side of Indian School Road, up to about where the bank is, I forget the name of it, Los Cruces, I think it is the name of that street that's up there. That section is in Litchfield Park, and it's our responsibility to maintain it. The actual intersection in front of the Circle K and the gas station, that pavement has been very bad for quite a long time. It's got big potholes in it, you fill them up, they just come right back. So we are going to fix that, and you'll see that project start over the next several months. I'm not sure, maybe in our fiscal year that starts in July, but it's going to be shortly, you'll see that intersection get fixed. We also are going to continue our pavement maintenance citywide, and we're going to be working on Camelback Road where the park is. So at Camelback and Dysart, where the park is, we're going to actually put in a real right-hand turn lane as part of, at the same time we move the wall out and complete the wall along Camelback and start the wall on Dysart. So you'll see a number of changes in that area around that park. Another very important piece of this puzzle that we're trying to build for the city is the Litchfield Heritage Center. We were blessed by donations to the Heritage or the Historic Society, which now is called the Heritage Center. We were blessed with donations from the Denny family that allowed for the restoration of the house and the movement of the museum into that house. So there's been a major fundraising process going on for the last several years. Unfortunately, the cost of doing what they would like to do there has also gone up tremendously to the point where their fundraising is not been able to fund everything that they want to do. So what they have decided to do so that we can get things started up on the hilltop is to do the improvements to this the Litchfield homestead, this house, to do these improvements in phases. So the first phase we'll work on the house, which is about 4,000 square feet. That will provide the Historic Society with about 4 times more space than they currently have on the corner. So will have a lot more space to do their exhibits and to operate the Historic Society itself. There are naming galleries, there's there's a historic mural that's on the wall that we've been trying to protect, make sure that we don't get it vandalized. They're gonna have a gift shop, and there's gonna be storage for the archives. So this first part of this project is gonna get started by the Historic Society. I guess I should ask you who's sitting here. It's now formal name is the Heritage Center? I'm not sure if it, formal name of the development is the Heritage Center. So that's going to get started, and what that's going to do is it's going to cause the city to start the work that we need to do up there to provide parking for this facility, and also to formalize agreements so that the hilltop can be restored. And by the hilltop, what I'm referring to specifically is the bandstand, the terraces that are to the west of the bandstand, and the restrooms. So for us to have, one of the vision for that hilltop is to use it for two main purposes. One purpose will be to provide a park-like setting for the museum and for some other things that we're going to put up there that are similar to the museum. And the second thing is to use it in a way that's similar to what Paul Litchfield used it for, which is an event center. So you have a place where you can bring events into the bandstand. You can bring events up to the terraces. You'll have restrooms if you have people coming into it. And the problem has been, how do we fund the restoration of these two major capital items? And what we have been working with, what we've been working on for several years now, is an agreement with Sun Health. Because Sun Health can use these facilities in many cases for events that they put on as part of their operations. They can use it as an amenity for the development of the Loma, the remaining part of the Loma that they're working on building now. So we have the concept is that, and Joe LaRue's here. Did I recognize Joe LaRue earlier or not? No. I didn't recognize Joe? Joe, let's recognize you now. Where are you? I hope the concept is, but Joe might have a different view of it because he's the one that has to agree from Sun Health standpoint. So the idea is to restore the terraces, to restore the bandstand, and build these bathrooms. And then Sun Health will use that part of the hill for events. Maybe events that Sun Health puts on for themselves, might be events for their residents. It could be a variety of things, and those will be private events, and they will not be open to the public. The public will also have an opportunity to rent the event center. So if you want to have a wedding up there, or you want to do something with a big family gathering or something, the event center will be available for rent by citizens. So when you're holding an event, that area will also not be open to the public. Other than those events, which are scheduled and it closes it to the public, the terraces and the bandstand and the restrooms will be open to the public for general use. Now, that doesn't mean that people can take all their family up there and you've got 50 people in your family and you want to just have a little open picnic on the terrace. That's something not going to be allowed. But if you have a regular family, we want to take 5 or 6 people up, we can do that. I don't know how we're going to deal with if you have 4 or 5 people in your family and then just magically somebody, like your cousin, figures out that they might want to take 4 or 5 people. We'll have to work that out. But the concept is that we want that area to be open for the public to use when it's not being used for an event. But the events are really important because the events are what pay for the cost to refurbish it and pay for the cost to keep it up. So it's really important that we have the ability to operate these events. So maybe that takes up 5 acres or 3 acres of the 25 acres that we have up there. The remaining acreage will be open as a park all the time, in normal park hours. So all the land that's around the museums, the land that's down the hillside from where these terraces are, all that land will be open to the public and to use as a park. There already are some walking trails. Those will be expanded. There'll be tables put in for people want to have a place to sit and picnics. There's already some benches up there. So all of that will be done as a way to, again, provide an amenity for the public to use it as a park. We are, and then Sun Health, as part of their agreement, will act sort of as a property manager for the hilltop, the whole hilltop. So they'll make sure that we keep it maintained properly, that we keep the trees trimmed, make sure the water's working, so that we keep it in a condition that we can be proud of as a city, and that Sun Health can be proud of as a Sun Health amenity. So it has a lot of good things for the city and a lot of good things for Sun Health. And I think, Joe's still here, that's a good sign. I think we're getting close to having the agreements put together to do that. And it will all, you'll see that all start to come together as the Historic Society is able to start building the Heritage Center. Part of what's going to be up there is, we're going to move, we have reached an agreement with the city of Goodyear to actually move, there's something that is historic that you may have never heard of. It's actually called the Litchfield train station. And it was actually in Goodyear. It was in an area which they were going to use for something else. I think it was a park, but so they moved this building intact. They had a moving company move it into a storage facility which is south of I-10. So we have worked out with another moving company to actually move that train station up to the hill. And it was quite a challenge because the train station is tall enough that it doesn't necessarily easily fit underneath the bridges for I-10. But somehow they figured out how they're going to do that. They're going to move the train station. We're going to build a foundation and slab to set it on, put in plumbing and that kind of stuff. And then what we hope is going to happen is that the Farm and Ranch Experience is going to come in and partner with us. They're going to fix up the inside of the train station and use it to display their displays of tractors and things like that. And they're also going to refurbish the other two cottages that are up underneath that sit just to the east of the old Litchfield house. So we'll have a museum up there for the Farm and Ranch Experience to go along with the Historic Society's museum. So it should be quite an interesting little development of history for us up on the hilltop, if we can get all the pieces to come together. Liberty Utilities. I know everybody here loves Liberty Utilities. We've all had our moments. They were actually shocked when I testified at the Arizona Appropriation Commission that I had to be careful in the mornings when I took showers, because when I took the shower during the summer and I took it early, like 6:30 or 7, there were times when the shower would just go off. I would be standing there and there's just no water coming out. And I wouldn't have any idea. It would go on for a minute. I didn't go on for a minute, but it's kind of disconcerting here. Trying to rinse your hair out, there's no water. The ACC was obviously, they weren't very happy about to hear this. And since the time I told that story to the ACC, the Liberty has actually come and visited us multiple times and has become much more reasonable to get along with. We had problems in the summer of 22 because Liberty did not start a new sewer plant soon enough. So all of the new warehouses and things that are going up along the 303 literally used all the capacity that they had in their sewer system, so they couldn't give anybody a new sewer permit. So we had problems because we put a whole sewer system in Litchfield Square, and we wanted to get a sewer permit for the first hookup, which was this project we spoke about earlier. Well, we couldn't get it. They couldn't tell us when we could get it. So we had a variety of meetings with them, and we finally got some recourse from them, and they did a few things to try to increase capacity in their existing plant. The new plant is supposed to be online by this May, so that problem is being resolved, has been resolved, assuming that it gets open. And then the summer of 23 is when we started having all of our plants die. So we had plants throughout the city die, we had plants in the HOAs die, but it was literally the HOAs and the Greens, I think, had to choose which plants would they just let die so they could take water and put on other plants to keep them alive. I mean, it was a real mess. It turned out that it didn't need to be such a big mess because Liberty actually had an existing connection into the Goodyear water system, so they could augment the water they had for us here in Richfield Park and the area around us. All they had to do was turn it on. The problem that they had though was that the rates that they have from the ACC did not allow them to charge the cost of that water to their customers. So from a financial standpoint, turning that water on was not a good thing for them. Eventually, there was so much pressure put on them that they turned on the water, and when they turned on the water, the problems went away. Our water pressures came back, we had enough water to water our lawns. We actually in the city had looked at the very real possibility of not doing any winter grass in the parks, because we couldn't guarantee that we would have the water to water that winter grass. And if we didn't have the water to do that, we didn't want to spend the money and then have it just be have it go to waste. Fortunately, we got this resolved prior to the time we had to make that decision, and we were able to put in the winter grass. There have been ongoing discussions and testimonies from the ACC over this water pressure issue. And what we found out, I didn't know this before, and I don't know if it's common knowledge, but I always thought that the Arizona Corporation Commission is the one that manages things like private utilities like Liberty Water. And it turns out they do manage, the ACC does manage those utilities, but they only really manage the financial aspects of it. So they manage it if it comes to setting rates, and they have to approve if they want to extend their service areas, but it's more about finance. It's not about the operational aspects of the utility. The Arizona Department of it's ADEQ, so Environmental Quality, Arizona Department of Environmental Quality regulates the actual operations of companies like Liberty. And they had set a minimum operating pressure of 20 psi. So unfortunately 20 psi, if you go into a normal municipal system, municipalities set their minimums more like 40 psi or 45 psi. So that if they get spikes in the system, so you get excess demand for an hour, they have enough water in the system to take care of it without the water pressure falling to such low levels that the water in your shower goes off. So they fixed that by keeping a higher pressure. So we are lobbying, and they're lobbying now with ADEQ to try to get that changed, so that Liberty and all of these public utilities like Liberty have to maintain the same kind of pressure that is maintained by a municipal system, which is 40 psi. We'll see how that goes. It's an effort that I think is important for us to try to make happen, so that we can eliminate this problem in the future for our residents. City charter election. This is something I'm sure everybody here has heard about and probably doesn't understand why we're trying to do this. You residents elected a charter committee. That charter committee was made up of Lisa Brainerd Watson, Vice Chair Suzanne Allen, who is here tonight, Michael Faith, Ken Jones, who also is here, Robert Zabadick, Andrew Frazier, Sonny Culbreth, Gail Romack, Ann Shazes-Sklar, the chairman of the group, Paul Charnetsky, Susan Fix, and Chuck Ember. Also not pictured and not available for that picture, so not in the picture, are Will Felice and Marty Etcher. These 14 individuals got together after they were elected and put together a charter for our city. It was not quite as easy as just getting together once or twice and doing this. We actually started the process to try to have an election for a charter group, the freeholders. We started that in December of 22. So it went on for many, many months before we came to you for the election. election of the freeholders. Once the freeholders were together, then we were able to provide them charters for the other cities in the state. There are 19 other cities out of 91. There are 19 chartered cities. So those charters were available, and they were able to put together a charter over the next 2 or 3 months. Many meetings, a lot of hours put in, a lot of work to get this charter put together. You can see the general timeline right over here of all the different things that they went through between getting elected in November and getting the charter had to be finished so that it could be ready to go to election, had to be finished by basically the end of December, first part of January. So they had a lot to do in literally a 2-month period of time. They were successful in doing that, and you have, I think, you've had the opportunity to see the charter in various places. I know it's been published in the newspaper, because I've seen it multiple times in the newspaper. It's available on the website. It is a very good charter for the city, and it's a very good thing for the city and the residents to adopt this charter. One of the things that has been true since we incorporated this city was the city council has been dedicated to protecting the lifestyle and how we live in Litchfield Park. The charter will give the council more authority to do that. It's not in any specific clause in the charter. It's because the charter gives us basically our own little constitution. And that constitution is recognized in the Arizona State Constitution. So it was a mechanism placed into our Arizona State Constitution from day one. It was put in there so that cities, because cities are the ones that are people, that's the governmental entity that's closest to all your people. It's the closest to the residents. We're the ones that have a problem you can actually call and find. It's pretty hard to find a state legislator. Even more difficult to find a governor. So the whole idea was that the cities would have more authority, independent of the state, to be able to do the regulation and to set the policies that are important for the residents to maintain their lifestyle. So I urge you to vote for it, and I read it. I think if you read it, you'll see that every one of the provisions in the charter is a positive provision. It's consistent with what we do now. So it's not going to cause a huge change in terms of any resident, but it will give more authority if we get into an argument with the state. It gives us more authority to regulate and set policies that apply to the city of Litchfield Park. So, with that, I'm going to close on that. But that closing area, the city charter, so all the things we went through today, all of these things are important. Litchfield Square is important, our cash and financial balance is important. The charter is the most important thing we have going on right now. So I very much urge you, you're going to get a ballot in the mail. I got my ballot today. You're going to get 2 ballots actually in the mail total. 1 ballot for this charter, and 1 ballot that's coming up for the presidential preference election. You can tell them apart because they're going to come at different times, about a week apart. The envelope that needs the ballot for the charter, that envelope has got a little red stripe on the top of it. A little up in the corner, it's got a red stripe. It's a green envelope with a red stripe on it. It's very important that that is the envelope you use to put in the ballot for the charter. The other ballot you're going to get for the presidential preference election will have a yellow stripe. So don't put your charter election ballot because it won't get counted. So with that, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to open this up to comments from our council.
So first of all, I really have a whole lot to say, but so little time, so I won't take too much time. But I first would like to thank all of the voters and the citizens who have allowed me to serve for the last 2 terms. I really appreciate that. I also want to thank the mayor, fellow council members, and all the staff who spoon-fed me through a lot of the issues. In particular, Vice Mayor Faith and John Romack and the mayor who mentored me when I text them, I called them, I text them numerous times, and truly maybe talked me off a cliff on occasion, or anyway. Bottom line is I learned an incredible amount from this side. I sat on that side. I've lived in Litchfield for 31 years, and I was one of those residents, which many people who know me know this, are like, why can't we do this right now? Come on, let's go. And I had to realize once I got on this side that there's such things as ordinances and rules and so forth. So again, I've learned a great deal. I'm going to be happy to be back on the other side. And for those of you that I see in parking lots or that call me, continue to do so. I don't know who to pass it on. But anyway, my main reason for running in 2016 was Litchfield Square. And you heard the mayor say, and you hopefully have seen, that there's not as much dirt there anymore. There's pavement, there's landscape, soon to be buildings. And again, as he mentioned, we need to be patient. We're going to do this right. In the future council, there's going to be no compromise. It's going to continue to be the most charming city in the state, and it's not going to be compromised by that. So patience. A couple of my successes, and you're going to laugh, because one of them was when I brought to council and then they agreed to allow our rec center basketball to be used for free. Which means all this, they'll give you use it very much. And the other one I'm most proud of is when I brought my feng shui agenda to the council to ask for more money for Christmas lights. And by golly, they did it. And they knocked it out of the park. So see how important I was to the council? Anyway, so these are exciting times, and you might ask me, why am I stepping down? Lots more volunteer things to do. I'm going to work up on the hill with that group and various other things, but more importantly, when we started this charter process and we had 18 citizens that came forward and then voted in 14, I was blown away by who those citizens were. I mean, the experience, the credentials. We are so lucky to have people like that come forward. So many that we certainly had to elect them. And then with that, I saw some youth in there. So I'm going to be 65 this year, and there were a few that now have actually pulled petitions to run that are much, much younger than I am. And I was really excited about that because they are our future. They have young people, young kids, and I sat there, the last 30 years and did all that stuff and then decided to run. And I'm really happy, and I think we have incredible future leaders, and so it's just time for Councilman Councilman Romack and I to maybe step aside and hopefully bring in some of them. And then finally, I have a lot of people that say stuff like, things are changing, and there's so much change, and including, I have to do this as well, and I would ask everybody to replace the word change with progress. Instead, we're saying things are progressing, and we see so much progress. So, final quote, I love quotes. And in the words of Doug Baldwin, life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. Change is inevitable. Change will always happen, but you have to apply direction to change, and that's when it's progress. So thank you so much. I've still got 6 more months, so 8 more months.
I definitely got the short end of having to follow up Councilman Donahue there. My name is Justin James. I was elected. I served for a year. I was sworn in last January. 43 years old. Moved here 10 years ago. Thought I'd give you a little just background who the hell I am. Since I graduated the United States Naval Academy, served for 5 years as an officer from 2002 to 2007. Like I said, moved here in 14. Since I've been here, I've been the president of the Wigwam Country Club, president of the West Valley Mavericks Foundation, said I'm planning and zoning for 3 years. I am living proof that I did not follow the Navy acronym, which is never again volunteer yourself. So I live over on Oro Vista. A lot of people say, I know that guy, that's Denise's husband. You may know my wife, Denise James, and I have a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old. It's been a very interesting first year. There's a tremendous amount of knowledge and talent on this council, and to echo Councilmember Donahue, I really hope that some more of our citizens consider running this year. There's going to be a couple of open seats, so help be a part of the change and the path forward of our great city. Thank you.
Yeah, this is right. Skip over. I'm Lisa Brainerd Watson. I'm a long-term Litchfield resident. Grew up here, went to school here. Started in the 6th grade, so many years ago. We didn't count. I have my fingers to do that. But I have really enjoyed my experience here on council. It's been a very interesting experience. I came in thinking that I understood how things ran at the city level and was very surprised to see, just as Councilman Donahue alluded to, that it's very different. I got the great opportunity to sit on the Freeholders board, and that was a really good experience. And I would second what she said about the marvelous young people who are out in the wings waiting to take seats. We highly encourage them to do so, and I highly encourage you to vote for a bunch of them because there's some amazing talent out there. Litchfield continues to be the best place to live. I mean, there's no way to put it, you know. And we're lucky to live here. We are lucky and blessed to have the leadership we've had over the past years to keep us in this position. And I don't have an awful lot more to add at this point in time, so thank you for coming tonight. This is amazing.
Hey, thank you all. I'm John Romack, longtime resident here in Litchfield Park, and to be 65 again. Anyway, this is what a turnout. This is pretty impressive. We as a council have worked together along with the mayor in trying to put this Litchfield Square together, and it's finally coming to fruition. And that was why I ran in the last election, because I wanted to be sure that had the direction that we all kind of felt and the direction we wanted it to go. So I feel really good about that. I think that the financing has been a challenge, but it's been well handled and with really good management. And I've worked with a number of council members in the 15 years now that I've been on the council, but I will tell you, I've been truly blessed and honored to serve with people like Paul Faith and Tom Schoaf. These guys are taking good care of our city, and they need to be recognized for that.
Oh, well, thank you, John. I have to pay you back for that somehow. Okay. I appreciate you all being here tonight. This is one of the greatest attended State of the Cities I think we've ever had. When I walk into a city council meeting and I see a lot of people sitting there waiting for us to have a meeting, it's usually kind of scary because they're usually not there to tell us what a good job we're doing. So it's wonderful to see you that show up here just with an interest in the city and want to participate. We have a great city council. We have worked together extremely well. We don't always agree on issues, but we always, I think, agree on what we want. And that is preserving our small town atmosphere. That is what I hear over and over again from all of you that you want. As the growth is coming around us, it has become harder to do, but we have done everything we can to try and protect our lifestyle. We have 2 service providers
that we switched to in recent years. We switched our fire department from rural metro that you were paying fees to the City of Goodyear Fire Department. They have been astonishing. The service that we have never seen before. So if you see them, please compliment them. We switched from the Sheriff's Office to the Evansville Police Department. The services out of the Police Department, again, are astonishing. We did not have service like that from our prior provider. You see the officers again, please thank them. We represent you, we're elected to represent you, we're in non-paid positions, we do this as volunteers because of our love of the city. If you've got something that you think that we need to look at, that we need to hear about, please tell us. As the mayor had mentioned, we are local government, we're the ones that are closest to you. We're the ones trying to preserve your city, trying to provide you with the services you want, the city that you want, the lifestyle you want. We all have email addresses. I attempt to answer every email that I get. If you've got something, you can send an email to the city manager. It gives a blanket email to all of us. I think we all read our email, and we want to hear from you. We want to know what you want. If we're missing something, and we can't think about it all, can't remember everything. If we're missing something, we want to hear about it. We have numerous commissions, as the mayor mentioned, that serve the city, and they're all volunteers also. Keep your eyes and ears open. With this kind of turnout, it's fantastic. If you have an interest in sitting on these commissions, we've always had openings. We go through a process of selecting. We have phenomenal candidates. We have phenomenal people in the council, phenomenal on boards. If you're interested in serving, please, look at the city website. Get involved. I've been your vice mayor for 20 years now. I've got 2 more years in this current term. I'm proud to serve. I'm proud of the mayor, the job that he has done, and every year I give him a little bonus here. But Tom, if you get a chance to talk to Tom, he has given this city his heart and soul. The amount of time this man has donated to this city has been astonishing. The amount of expertise, the care, the love of the city, it shows. And Tom didn't pay me to say this, but I don't want to see him go anywhere. He has done an outstanding job. Again, we don't always agree on how to get to from point A to point B, but we always agree that we want to get to that same area and preserve our city. I'm proud to serve. I would thank you for electing me, continuing to elect me, and to let me serve. Sitting here has been it's been a wonderful part of my life, and I enjoy what I'm doing, trying to preserve Litchfield Park, preserve it for my kids and my grandkids. I've got one son who is here, Brian, who sits on Parks and Rec. I've got another son, Michael, who's on P&Z, and he was on the board of freeholders that drafted the charter. They're both Litchfield born and raised, both Litchfield Park Eagle Scouts. They're both serving their community, and I'm proud of them. I hope they continue to serve also. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for all your comments, council. Excuse me. We have a couple of requests to speak, and so I'm going to call their names in the order that I got these sheets. First one is Greg Mitchie.
Thank you.
About 7 months ago, Woody Scooten and Matt Williams gave an interview to a couple of realtors in the area talking about the park, Litchfield Square. And Woody said that they were going to need 1,600 parking spots, 400 surface, and 1,200 feet out parking garage. How many parking garages is that?
I can tell you, we had a plan, in the plan, that was, in the plan that, excuse me, that was put for planning, there were four parking structures.
And so, or to this day,
Just to kind of expand upon that, this entire project is a work in process. We have no idea how this thing is going to end up. We know where we'd like it to be. We don't know whether we're going to need parking garages, whether we're going to need that many parking garages, how many spaces we're going to need. As we go through this development, it'll all be fine-tuned, and again, it's a constant work in process.
and then along those lines, and you touched on it in your presentation tonight, you mentioned condo living, third floor condo living in Litchfield Square. How many condos, is there a plan for how many condominiums do you plan on building?
There, again, as the vice mayor said, there isn't any plan that's specific to any parcel other than parcel 3 that I showed you the sketch of in the presentation. So other than that parcel, everything will be planned on a parcel by parcel basis. The number of residential units in the form of condos is going to depend on who develops a parcel and what they want to build and what the council will approve. So it's not an answer that there is no answer to your question. I can tell you that the number of square feet that was in the original recommendation from the engineering group was 400,000 square feet. I don't believe that there's support on the council for that many square feet. And as we go through it, I think we're going to end up probably closer to 220,000 square feet, maybe 200,000 square feet. So all of the projections that we have kind of looked at, and what's the maximum number of parking spaces we need, and how many garages we're going to need, all those things will change as we look at each of the parcels and look at the buildings that will go on those portions.
Okay.
Thank you for your question. The next request to speak is from Dr. Paul Charnetsky. Didn't know Dr. Charnetsky was here. I didn't see him. I know he's here because he's signing this up, but I didn't. I would have recognized Dr. Charnetsky earlier. I would have recognized Dr. Charnetsky earlier because Dr. Charnetsky was one of the most instrumental people in developing the charter. He was a person that I spoke to in, I think it was December of 22, about leading the effort to recruit people to run for freeholders and to get that whole process organized. He was elected as a freeholder, and the freeholders voted him in as their chair. So we all owe him a big round of applause.
It truly was an honor to be here. I'm born and raised in Litchfield Park, been here my whole life. And it's what I just thought about it. I went to grade school, or to preschool at St. Peter's when it was over there. It was truly an honor to work with an incredibly talented, motivated, dedicated, intellectual group of individuals. How smart, how talented this people was just tremendous. Also, I'd like to recognize, working with the city, I've worked with a lot of different agencies, I've worked with a lot of different, the city is unbelievably well run. Terry Roth, our city clerk, she saved me all the time, our attorney. It was great working with everybody on the committee, and if anybody on that freeholder committee runs, definitely we have to help vote them in. The one, Chuck and Mayor went through all of it. The one thing I think they forgot to say, Litchfield Park is special. Everybody looks at Sedona and says Sedona, they have the harmonic convergence, and maybe Scottsdale has this allure. But what they don't know is Litchfield Park is the fountain of youth. and it's shown here. I think PW Litchfield knew that. We couldn't put that in the charter because I don't think there's a legal term for that. Let's finish this. Let's vote this 100% in. Let's get this charter. Let our city council move on and keep this going for our children in the legacy of Litchfield Park and PW Litchfield. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. So that brings us to the end of the State of the City presentation. We have a hand up, yes?
I appreciate the presentation from all the council members and you, Mayor Shaw. I'd like to know who presented the food.
Well, that's a very good question. That's in my program, and I was supposed to recognize the food people, and I messed up. So what you're going to cause me to do is to go back and look at who it is and recognize them, because they did a great job. Okay, it's not on this program. Oh, here it is. It's on this sheet over here. The caterer was Fresh Fitness Kitchen, and the chef is Rayshawn Smith with her staff. And since we're talking about the caterer, I want to recommend this caterer to anybody in here who wants to have a catering party. I came across them first at a meeting in the city of Goodyear, and they were a brand new caterer, and the city took a chance on them to have them come and cater their first event, and it was just absolutely unbelievably wonderful. I mean, it was one of the best catering events I had ever been. So we have been trying to find an opportunity to use them. That was literally several years ago. So we're very, very, very happy that they were able to come and cater for us. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the hors d'oeuvres and the charcuterie boards. The only complaint that they're going to hear about is that we had no boards on this table up here. I hope you all enjoyed it.